Hi, everyone, and welcome to the New Girl 10-year anniversary panel here at Variety's TV Fest, presented by Amazon Advertising. I'm Michael Schneider, senior editor at Variety, and I'm so excited to see the gang getting back together today. Maybe I'll talk later about how Jake was in my dreams last night, but we'll save that for a separate conversation. New Girl was a groundbreaking series in its 7 seasons on air and continues to attract new fans who are binging it and influence the comedy genre today. So I'm excited right now to introduce to you our panelists. We got them all right here. Please meet the creator and showrunner of New Girl, Liz Meriwether. Liz, welcome.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. Of course, you know her as the New Girl herself, Jess Zoe Deschanel. Zoe, welcome.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here.
He was Schmidt himself. Later, we discovered he was Winston Schmidt, believe it or not. Max Greenfield. Max, welcome.
Believe it or not, I had a dream about Jake last night too, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, let's compare dreams. Speaking of Jake, of course, he played Nick on the show. Jake Johnson. Jake, welcome.
I would like to hear your dream, Michael. I don't want to hear Max's. I'm sure his is disgusting, but yours will be nice to hear about at some point.
Well, it was by a lake.
Mine was not dirty at all. So,
Max, how about yours?
No, yes, it was by a lake. It was moonlit. We'll talk about it.
We'll get to that. Let's bring in Winston right now, aka Frank Sinatra, aka Theodore K. Mullins, of course, Mr. Lamorne Morris. Lamorne, welcome.
How you doing, my friend?
Cheers. Oh, you got the cocktail. There you go.
Right. That's right. I do. Thank you.
Late night with Lamorne.
Every day is late night with Lamorne.
We can't forget, she played Cece on the show, the one and only Hannah Simone. Hannah, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So it's been 3 years since the show went off the air. And coincidentally, of course, season 7 was a 3-year jump. So can we all agree that maybe every 3 years we'll have another New Girl sort of check-in, see how everyone's doing? Let's just do this every 3 years. Liz, I'm going to put that on you to organize. Can we make this happen?
If I'm organizing it, then it's probably not going to happen.
You guys all have like a group chat, right? Do you still sort of keep in close contact? What's sort of the communication like these days? How often do you all chat with each other?
I think we do all chat, but like kind of separately. I feel like the group chat that everybody hears about is primarily the male members of the cast, maybe.
Damon. It's Damon.
Yeah.
I think that kind of faded during the pandemic. I think there were too many weird videos and pictures, and we all just took a break from sending each other Instagram stuff. But everybody's still in touch. It's nice.
Pandemic sort of got a little weird for all of you.
Yeah, Damon's disgusting on text. It's enough.
We've seen so many parts of Damon that we didn't want to see.
Too much.
My texts with Damon are so family friendly. It's the most like PG,
completely different
text.
Experience. Yeah, completely different experience of Damon.
He hasn't opened up to you guys yet?
No. Let's keep him closed.
Yeah, there's a lock there. There's a lock.
Something to see.
Well, speaking of the pandemic and just in general, the past couple of years, there has been an upswing also as people have rediscovered New Girl. They've binged it. How are you hearing from the fans these days? Zoe, are you sort of seeing increased attention right now to New Girl?
Definitely. It's nice because I think we're available on a lot of streaming platforms. So I think a lot of people are discovering the show and binge watching it, which is really nice. Like a whole new way of discovering the show. I know a lot of people who watched it when it was out, on Fox, and then they kind of rediscovered it, on Netflix or, another streaming service. And then also like kids, like my friend's daughter is now really into New Girl. She's like 13 years old. I think it's great. It's a lot of new fans kind of discovering, which is cool.
Have any of you gone back and watched any old episodes? Have you binged a few and sort of revisited some of the past episodes? Lamorne, you're shaking your head?
Every day. Every day. I want to remember these folks because they don't like hanging out in person. So I go back and I watch and I reminisce on good times.
I'm not 100% convinced that all of these people have seen the whole show.
I've seen every episode. I've seen every episode at least one time. Everyone.
Do you all have that situation where people come up and ask you very intricate questions about the show, and you're like, I don't remember that at all?
Oddly, I get a lot of questions from Damon on text messages about he's rediscovered the show and watched it several times over and asked, "What was this episode? We did this," and I don't have much of a recollection, but he's been very interested.
My friend's 14-year-old daughter asked for a script, and I was like, well, sure, like what script do you want? And immediately heard back Pepperwood.
Pepperwood's a classic. Pepperwood's a classic.
I had to explain like how much everything changed from like the shooting draft to like what she saw on screen.
I also remember you were like the most tired I've ever seen you on that episode, because I remember you came one day and I was like, this girl needs to take a nap.
That was it was the middle of the second season, but I think there are a lot of I found a lot of young people kind of like, I've heard from a lot of like younger people rewatching it, and which is always exciting and disturbing. I'm like, 13, are you old enough? I guess compared to like what else is out there right now, it's probably fine.
Yeah. Well, some things just maybe go over their head, but they can appreciate the bonds and the relationships of the characters.
Some things went over Max's head,
Yeah.
I still can't watch the first Justin Long episode.
You get too confused, excited.
You don't want to see that sweet physical comedy, that Jack Tripper stuff?
Oh my gosh.
Well, Jake, I want to ask you in particular, when we talk about what fans are sort of gravitating to right now, there is this thirst, this thirst for Nick. Like, it's sort of this Jake Johnson, Nick thirst trap going on. What do you make of this internet obsession with
Oh man, this is the best. I'm so excited for the answer.
It's the body. It's the body. Max thinks the male body is about going to CrossFit. And I'm like, no, the Lord made a body a certain way and we're supposed to take care of it with sleep, cheese, some bread. And I think what's happened is the younger generations of Americans in the world understand what male perfection is. So I'm really excited. The pandemic shut everything down. I think everybody added 10 pounds of fat and then I looked normal.
It's also the body.
I just want to say also,
That's how you work it, I guess.
It's cut off sweatpants with a sports jersey tucked in. It's flip flops and it's socks with the flip flops.
Are you wearing cut off shorts right now, Jake?
Stand up.
Yes.
Oh, Zoe, your call was nearly perfect. The shirt is tucked in for some reason, and when you said that, I was hoping Lamorne or Max wouldn't ask me to stand because I got embarrassed.
It's how do you say you're a dad without saying you're a dad?
For me, like the belt is the most upsetting.
Yeah, the belt's not
buckle.
The belt's not had those cutoffs when we were shooting. You had those. And you wore them regularly.
Well, the nice thing about after a man turns about 27 years of age is his body doesn't change that much. So you don't necessarily need new clothes. I'm not going to grow anymore. I shouldn't get too fat or too skinny. I'm kind of in this zone. So until an article of clothing falls apart, drape the frame and let's go. Look good, feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I when people ask me to describe your physical appearance, I always say in the zone.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I can't say now if the internet's going to melt over all of this, or just be even more sort of confused over their obsession with.
I'm going to go with confused.
Also, I wish I had that way of like having my own body image to be like 27, still the same. Nothing's changing. What a way to look at it. Amazing. Bottle that and sell it. That delusion is incredible.
Liz, what do people sort of ask you about the most now in terms of the burning, lingering questions as they rewatch the show or as they binge it?
haven't been asked a lot of questions. I've just been just people kind of like thanking me for like giving them some kind of comfort. And like, I feel like the show has been, the show feels like there's a warmth to it. I think that maybe people have need it right now. But that's like, sorry, did that come out really douchey? I'm like, people just thank me.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was rough. That was terrible.
You gotta own it.
I want to stand up and show you my belt, but I'm not wearing one. No, I mean, I think I feel like there's a sense with this show, there always has been, of like, you know, that these characters are actually friends, that like these characters are like, you're hanging out with your own friends when you watch the show. And so I think people always want to hear about, you know, whether or not like what you guys were like when you were shooting it. And, you know, and I'm always like, I don't know. I was like hiding in my office. But
it is but you bring up a good point. It is sort of friend goals. You've seen all these relationships. I mean, I you know, look at the you know, Nick and Schmidt relationship, and you know, that touching moment in the finale when Nick finally admits that he loves Schmidt, and yeah, there's like the friend goals for all these characters. But for any of you,
there was a lot of debate actually about if Jake had already told Max that, I shouldn't say Jake and Max, I'm sorry, Nick and Schmidt.
You can say Jake and Max.
There was debate about whether or not that had already happened in the writer's room, and I think on set. And I feel like maybe we messed up, and maybe there was one other episode where Nick tells Schmidt he loves him, but
it was in the trailer. It was in our trailer.
It was when Max won a Madden game.
It was definitely. It was probably after our first Super Bowl.
I love you, man.
I love you.
Well, there was that 3-year gap, or who knows, like, you know, and that's one of the big questions is what are some of the adventures that we never got to see during that gap in time? What's canon, and what does everyone sort of have in their mind may have happened during those months and years that we didn't get a chance to see?
We can't really tell you that just yet because we are planning a reunion season. So I just want to be the first to put that out there. Liz has already started writing it. What's important to note is that I will not be in the reunion season.
We got David?
Yeah, David, yeah.
We got David!
What's weird is that we all look a lot older in the reunion season, which happens before the last season.
Cool,
it's
yeah.
just kind of weird, but it's cool. It's cool. We all had a lot of plastic surgery between in that time.
And also you have the new Becky from Roseanne on this season too,
I'm going to be the new Becky and the old Becky.
Speaking of sort of where are the characters now? A lot of questions about, you know, imagining what it would be like for these friends during the pandemic, especially when they're not able to sort of interact with each other. And, you know, I like to imagine Schmidt would be off sanitizing everything. You know, he would have been, this would have been a tough year for him.
Or would it be the year that like everything he was like thinking would happen came true?
That's true. Like it turns out Schmidt was right. I mean, Max, how do you think Schmidt would have handled this past year?
I had a lot of people asking me that question, and I wanted to just be like, can you talk to Liz? I honestly, her answer will be so much better than mine.
I think you asked me, like, I was like, he was like, can you just like answer questions for people about what Schmidt's doing during the pandemic? God. And I was way too like underneath a blanket on my couch to like be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised because I forgot that we had done a quarantine episode where they, you know, Schmidt puts Cece and Nick in quarantine together, and we saw it coming. So there's a lot of like saran wrap over the door. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like our show was essentially about 5 people who never left their house and always like, you know, hung out together. So I think our characters would actually be like pretty happy, just like hanging out. But then somebody would die, maybe. Probably Damon would die.
Contractually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a contract thing.
I feel like Schmidt would have gone like his like leadership would really like blossom. Like he would become like the leader of like cleaning the whole place and like, you know, just really like bossing everybody around about what to do. And that Nick would be like really afraid of getting it. But then ultimately like Schmidt would get it.
Nick would also be the prepper, right? I mean, he'd have like all the toilet paper and everything
but all of the like wrong stuff, you know, and like or everything like expired and like, or you'd have that toilet paper that like disintegrated when you touched it. and like Jess would have like toilet paper that had like pictures on it, you know, like gag toilet paper. Winston would have homemade toilet paper, or he would like figured out how to make his own.
Winston's selling homemade toilet paper on Etsy, like artisanal.
Yeah, like it turns out he's been doing that for years. Quietly.
He's been selling toilet paper that gives people COVID because that's his prank.
COVID is Winston's greatest prank of all time. There's no COVID.
It's too big. It's too big.
It's too big.
The World Health Organization like figures out that it all goes back to Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra.
And Hannah, what about Cece?
I mean, Cece was always just like a little bit like smarter than everybody else. Hannah, what do you think? I feel like you maybe were somebody who like got it early and had the antibodies.
Yeah, I knew I was immune. I was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm watching the show of everybody else freak out. Free entertainment.
Yeah. Maybe Cece was the one who went into the trials, and actually we got the vaccine thanks to her early.
Oh yeah, she was definitely like in the trial.
Yeah, early vaccine adopter.
I would imagine there would be some weird like Schmidt Cece sex thing with masks, you know, with various N95 masks. but then we would end up cutting it.
How often?
Yeah, standards and practices would come in on that.
Didn't that weird, crazy German sex toy thing? Did that ever make it in?
Well, we weren't allowed to say vibrator, so we had to say self-pleasure machine or something. It's amazing in the 10 years that the show from when the show started to what's on television now, they didn't let us say vibrator, you know, and thank God, because America wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah, Liz, how different or would have been different if New Girl had been on, say, a streaming service where you didn't have those kind of restrictions? Do you think you would have done it much differently, or?
I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, in some ways, I think the show is what it is because of, you know, it was on network, and like, I think there was a lot of restrictions to sort of what we could do and say. And I mean, also, I always say this, but I really believe it, like how much has changed in television in the 10 years that it's been on is like really incredible. And also just in the culture. And I mean, you go back and watch like the earlier episodes and there's some things where I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I do? But I mean, you know, I think to our credit, I think we did always try to sort of like change the show with what we saw around us and kind of like try to keep up. But yeah, I mean, I think if this show were on a streaming service, it would have been like a completely different show, and probably a bit darker. I would imagine that it would have gone to like some darker places.
I remember we weren't allowed to say the word penis more than once, and I was like, what's the difference between saying it once and saying it 3 times? Like, in that there was a bachelorette party episode. They had all these like background actors who were supposed to be going penis, and we had to have them go penis. Just mouth.
I didn't remember that. Oh my God.
Probably would have saw Jay.
These will be the clips, by the way, they used to promote this New Girl.
Yeah. Who on the streaming version of New Girl would do the full frontal nudity first? So that's the other question.
That's interesting. Definitely Lamorne, I think, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. There's a lot floating around on the internet already. So I figure, who cares?
Liz, what was, you mentioned a couple of things that you sort of, the back and forth with standards. Was there anything that you ultimately ended up on the cutting room floor that you haven't mentioned before that we never got to see?
Oh my God, there's so much on the cutting room floor. I feel like we could have shot, like we actually could do like a full other season of stuff that we cut, which, was bad planning on my part, but no, there was a whole section. I think the biggest one I remember was just, there was a whole thing with June Diane Raphael plays Jess's best friend, and Schmidt goes to her kind of to like try to figure out how to pleasure a woman, right, or something. And there, like, she got out like a diagram of a vagina, and like the original scripted section, we could say is none of it. It was like a CIA report that's like everything's redacted except for like one word. So we just had to come up with like all of these euphemisms, and I actually think it turned out to be like much funnier. But it was a really funny moment shooting it, because there was the woman from Standards actually came to set, and we had to like, it was just like us talking to Max about like if he could say the word like churro and how suggestive like he could be when he says churro or something, like, and like could he like use his fingers, and I mean it was like a real shit show. But I do think like some of that stuff actually ends up helping comedy. I think some restraints force you to be creative, but yeah, I mean there is a lot of stuff that ended up not, being on the show, probably for better. Do you guys remember anything like that? I'm trying to remember, but
I remember I wasn't allowed to have a sausage and say the word penis. Like I could either have the sausage. I couldn't say the word dong and I was supposed to have a sausage. Like an actual sausage, and then I couldn't be like dong, and the sausage had to be like either or. And that was, I remember that very specific.
Yeah, we have a real classy. It was a real classy show. I don't know why we haven't been remembered as the classiest show.
It was quite a classy show, and I want to go through and sort of, as all of you remember moments, I know you're asked all the time favorite moments, but I'm curious if there's one moment that sort of constantly creeps into your mind. Just randomly, you'll be thinking like about something else, and suddenly a moment from New Girl pops into your head. Is there something that sort of has stayed with you? Not the past 3 years, the past 10 years. Hannah, is there a moment from the show that sort of sticks with you, that when you think about New Girl, this kind of immediately comes to mind?
I mean, I think the one that I get asked about a lot is, what was it like when Prince was on the show? And so many people had stories about how he was this incredible ping pong player, and I have never played ping pong. And we had to shoot the tag where he and I played ping pong against each other. And I remember when we went to shoot it, I feel like it was like the first or second take. I mean, Liz was there, so maybe she remembers, but it's what's in the episode. Like I hit it and it went straight past him. And I feel like he was genuinely surprised, but no more surprised than I was in that moment. And then I was like, that's it, we're done. I don't want to do it again. that's as good as it's ever going to get. But I remember being really nervous.
That was also like 5 a.m, if I recall. They did that, the absolute last thing, and then like had to basically wake you up to do it.
Yeah, the sun was fully up at that point. It was the longest day ever. And we're shooting it at like like a crematorium or something, like super bizarre.
No, it was a house. It was just a mansion.
It was like a creepy, I don't know. There was something near it or around it that was famous in that area where there was
just a
like
nice house in Altadena.
There was something near it that everybody else had shut.
It was definitely not a crematorium.
It was a beautiful mansion in a really nice town.
I've never been to a really nice house, I guess. I was like, they must burn bodies here.
You were going through some personal stuff.
Yeah. Like that house twisted that so memory. Nice.
They were burning bodies in the back. But
they were burning bodies. I don't remember those. I just remember beating Prince in one take and then being done. Yeah.
And that is a bucket list thing. I mean, when you like, remember like just what you've done in your life, playing ping pong with Prince, that's still something not many people can say. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Max, how about you? What kind of comes to mind when you reminisce about New Girl?
I don't think I'll ever have another job or long-term experience in my life where I'll laugh as hard as I did. We laughed on that show in a way that the daily brought us to tears. And that is not something that you get that often. And I think we had it happened so much on that show that you thought, oh, I guess the rest of your life will just laugh like this. You go, oh no, that's not actually true. But there were just so many moments where something would happen, or one of us would torture the other one, or three of us would torture someone else. And I just remember laughing in a way that was so guttural, and where hair and makeup would have to come in and redo all of our makeup because I'd be crying. And I remember the show in that way, and remember how much fun that was and how enjoyable that was. And really often we'll come back to those moments every so often. And sometimes just thinking about that will make me laugh in a way that will even surprise me.
Lamorne, the entire finale is predicated on a Winston prank, which I still think about to this day. Like that's how they ended the show. They didn't have to move out of the loft after all of this. It was all prank Sinatra. Talk a little bit about your memories of playing Winston and just like wrapping up the show that way.
Well, let's unpack it. Let's just start from the beginning.
It's cocktails for Lamorne time.
Oh.
Who is Winston? That was the big question. That was the big question from the beginning. Okay, we had no idea.
Lamorne, take your time. Take your time.
We had no idea. Let's paint the landscape for a second. You start here, hero's journey. Who is this hero? Anti-hero. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Sorry, F word. Sorry. His ascent to the top was predicated on what we were doing as a cast. All right. And I do remember just like Max said, we would goof off a lot and we would laugh a lot on set, which was something that I couldn't help because, like he said, the cast was so funny. So we would always do these bits in between takes. And sometimes they would make it in. And we got very, very lucky because for a while we didn't know who this character was. And I think with playing with each other and being silly and being weird, the writers kind of said, man, this is like a cool bit, possibly. And they started writing weirder and weirder and weirder things for my character to do. And initially, I'll be honest with you, this is not a joke. I was thinking to myself, what the fuck do they have me doing? Like, this is so stupid. And then you would watch the episode and you would go, that's actually pretty funny. It's actually really funny. And so I started leaning more into it and fully committing to it. It got to the point where some of the guys in the cast would egg me on to do stupid things.
No.
And yes. Yeah. And so it became fun for me to play this character. And I would actually read episodes at the table, anticipating, really obnoxiously weird things for my character to do. So I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. So it ending on him playing a big prank is kind of a full circle to how it started, not really knowing what his purpose was in the loft to kind of that being it.
Yeah.
I think.
And I have to say that was our writer, Berkeley Johnson. That was his pitch in the writer's room, and it was like the kind of pitch that like he said it like really quietly, and then everybody just got really quiet, and then like it was immediately like yes, like it was kind of the thing we'd been like waiting for. So shout out to Berkeley Johnson.
Liz, real quick, sort of the decision to do that quick sort of flash forward, seeing them a couple years later, them playing True American as a bunch of families. Winston and Allie have 5 kids. I mean, so I don't know how far in the future this is, but
how far?
There was a lot to unpack in that brief clip that we see in the finale. Talk about sort of deciding how much of that sort of future image you guys wanted to put into that finale.
Well, I think that was Dave Finkel and Brett Baer who ran the show with me. I think it was their pitch, but I thought, I was always the one who kind of wanted to go for like cheesy emotional stuff on the show. And when Dave and Brett pitched that, I was like, is that too emotional? And then they were both like, no, like, and I think in seeing it, it was like the moment when I really I felt like I teared up, watching the, if I had a heart, I would have teared up. No, and this show is, hearing Lamorne talk about his character, but it's really about these actors and like these the people that are on this Zoom with me, and like it was always about them and how good they were together and how creative and funny they were, and like writing to them and like just seeing what they were doing. And I think that the show, for better or worse, there's like some really bad episodes and there's some really good episodes, but you love these people, like you love these characters, and that's like to these actors' credit. And I think
curious, which episode do you think is bad?
Well, let's start at the beginning. Let's really get in.
That pilot was missing a little charm. You know what I'm saying?
I really feel like the pilot was missing something. No, I think I would say that the flash forward was just like, because you just want to know. It was really hard. It was even hard for me to let them go a little bit. And I was definitely ready, after 7 years to move on. But like, I felt like it was very hard to kind of not know what happened in their lives. And so I think we just really wanted to show like that everyone was happy and okay, just because I think you really do fall in love with these characters. Bad episode. I think that Bachelorette episode where everyone's chanting penis is pretty bad.
That one was a little bit rough, but it still had good moments.
Except that, yeah, I think that though that is when Jake is in like a yellow sweatsuit, and that maybe like that may have saved the episode, but I don't know if it was enough.
Everyone wants to see Jake in a yellow sweatsuit. Everybody.
So there you go. In hindsight, for all the Nick thirsty Nick fans, there's something for them. So
I didn't know about this Nick thirst trap thing. I didn't know about that. So it's,
what?
No.
It's everywhere.
Sorry, I guess I'm not. I'm not up with the people.
Dry mouth.
Speaking of the thirst trap himself, Jake, what are some of the things that you still sort of gravitate to and think about when you reminisce about your time on New Girl?
I don't want to steal Max's answer, but that I think he stole mine because we did one of these before and I said that first, so I'm going to say mine again. But honestly, when I look back at this show, we laughed together so much. Everybody on the cast, we really created our own language at times. And there were times where you were doing the material, but we were there for so many hours that the main goal, like if Zoe and I are doing a scene together and she's off camera, I'm trying to make her laugh and she's trying to make me laugh. And if I'm seeing, if I'm doing a scene and I see the three other people off camera, I really wanted to make them laugh. And I would feel like I did a good job as an actor if the castmates after would be like, that was really funny, even if the behavior was really bad. Like when we say we egged on Lamorne, we would egg him on to do really bad behavior, but it would also be really funny. So there was a lot of it that, Max is right. I haven't experienced it on other jobs, but I feel like Liz partly loved us. And then we were partly the kids who were annoying her a lot at work. And that led to this feeling of like, wow, Video Village is really annoyed, but they use this stuff. So it created a vibe that we were allowed to mess with each other and try to make each other laugh because we might hit something really funny. So I don't remember a lot of when people will come up in this era and talk about a specific moment, because there were so many on set that I just remember cry laughing about. And I will have memories of somebody doing some bit off camera or even during press that I'm like, man, that was so funny and fun.
We also had an amazing crew that would laugh, and I feel like would also egg us on.
Casey, Joey, Rizzoli, Trent's
Polly.
bit. There were some unbelievably funny people who were in all of our inside jokes. So if I did a take and it was really bad, camera operators would pretend to be sleeping. So I would look like our sound guys would be like, I'm like, well, everybody here is in on a joke and it's really funny. So I miss that a lot.
What's interesting is you try to bring that to another show. You try to bring that to other jobs.
And it does not work early on. Oh,
They're
no.
not having it.
You instantly look like a crazy person if I talk about the AD's pants and I'm like, look at what the assistant director is wearing, tight denim, and everyone goes, easy. And I'm like, it was a different show. Oh, ask that guy when he was in Miami what he used to do to party, and everyone goes, take it easy.
He's got
say your lines and shut up.
And Zoe, how about you? When you think about the show and reminisce about New Girl, what kind of comes to mind?
Yeah, it's so funny because Hannah kind of touched on it and then you guys all were talking about it. But I just remember our first season. I think it was like one of our first episodes. And I remember we had a sound woman. I think her name was Val. Do you remember her? And she was holding the boom and I remember the boom was shaking. And I'm like, what's going on? And I looked over and she was like laughing so hard that the boom was shaking. And I was like, oh, this is kind of special. Because when I started New Girl, I started working when I was like 16 or 17. So I had done a lot of movies at that point. And, a lot of movies that I had an amazing experience on and, really kind of special experiences. But this one had just between the cast and the writers and the crew, it was just such an incredible group of people who were all so funny. And there was so much joking around, so much making each other laugh. I felt like everyone was my family and we had kind of a family dynamic. And again, I saw all these folks more than my family for those 7 years. And so I definitely feel like the dynamic between all of us was really special. Like a lot of my favorite memories are things that kind of happened off screen. But yeah, no, so many funny, cool memories. Anyway, bye.
Remembering the show was an instant hit. It came on and boom, it was a phenomenon.
I will just add that there was a billboard of New Girl, like a building with New Girl, like a poster on the side of it that was near my house at the time. And I remember driving and to work one morning and it was rush hour. And I was sitting in rush hour traffic. And all of a sudden I feel this like on my windshield. And I'm like, what happened? And there was a guy and he's like, and he starts banging and then he starts pointing at the building.
Oh,
and I was like,
ran a guy over.
God. No, that would have been really bad.
Staring at yourself.
Yeah, he saw me somehow and recognized me without makeup, which is incredible because I don't look the same. And he was like pointing at the building, and it was a big building. It was kind of like it was a surreal experience to have that happen.
Real quick, True American, this is the question when I asked the internet, what's your burning question? Of course, their burning question is, will we ever see the full official rules of True American? And
no.
I know people have put sort of their take on the rules. You can find those all over the internet, but Liz, do official rules exist somewhere?
No. No, they don't. But that's what, I want to see other people's rules. And it always makes me smile, like hearing people tell me about different ways that they've played it. And I don't
intrigue. It creates intrigue, right? It's kind of like mysterious.
Yeah. And they all know how it starts. So at least when you yell JFK,
exactly.
and also they know the floor is lava.
FDR.
the amount of drinking that we show is probably not safe.
Right.
So if you are a 13 or 14-year-old watching this show, like, I just want you to know that it was iced tea in the whiskey bottle.
And it was water in all the beer cans. So it was like straight water. It wasn't even fizzy water. So
Speak for
we
yourself.
didn't get crazy. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I was gonna say like it's possible that
I was very close to the
didn't
prop
know
there.
what was in those bottles, but yeah.
What was the name of the beer?
Heisler.
What was that? Heisler.
Heisler. Those Heislers were filled to the brim.
Do you guys see Heisler on other shows now? Like when I watch other shows, I'm always like, and then they're drinking a Heisler beer. I'm like, that's our beer. But
I've seen our bar on plenty of shows at this point now. Like, man, they really are. 20th is getting. They are using the hell out of these sets and props.
But as we see in the flash forward, the family edition of True American, they're chugging root beer, so you can chug the root beer. That's allowed as well. So,
but I will say I've seen a lot of fans that would send me photos of and tag me and stuff of them just blacked out and wasted and doing very dangerous things. So we don't condone that.
Oh God!
Have fun.
Exactly. See, the new girl lives on, and of course the question that I can't leave this panel without asking. You know the question that I'm going to ask. What about a reunion? What about a reboot? What about bringing these crazy kids back together one day?
Not enough time has passed, right? I mean,
yeah, we.
I mean, it's been.
I told you already. We're doing it. I'm just not.
It's not like a 3-year college reunion.
Well, we could do like one of those like specials where we go to Hawaii or something.
Let's do a new girl movie and then
new girl movie
girl
where we
movie.
go to Hawaii.
Who's in? Who's in for a new girl?
I'll do it.
Girl goes to Hawaii. Like
only me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, Zoe and
it's just us.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm down to do it.
It's
I'm down to
fine.
do it.
I'm down to like go to Hawaii with you guys.
Kayla Moore very well.
I'll go to Hawaii.
Yeah, this is just a cast trip now. No cameras.
Yeah,
anything with the reunion, when they ask us, it would have to be Liz. Liz would have to write something. I mean, I'll definitely show up and improvise and goof around with everybody for sure.
Liz, new girl goes to Hawaii. I feel
I mean, I sure. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
I'll write something and then you guys can just improvise. Yeah.
Coming to Netflix in 2023, new girl goes to Hawaii.
I think we need a little bit more water under the bridge is what I'll say. But yeah, I mean, when we're when it feels right, when the universe says it's time, like I will be there with my little tippy tap computer writing stuff. No, I miss the characters and I miss like writing for the characters. And it was such a reflex for me for so many years of like, oh, like in this situation, how would Jess react? How would Cece react? How would Nick react? Sure. Like I still find myself sometimes being like, oh yeah, this would be a really funny new girl story just because it's like muscle memory. So, I mean, I'm sure there's like,
I just imagine like that Avengers scene when they all show up and it's like Malma, Roque, JJ Pillman,
getting all the writers back
Garfinkel.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I mean, it would be so fun. I have to agree. Like there was a lot of laughter, on set, but there was also so much laughter in the writer's room and just so much, camaraderie and people just being, I mean, the writers we had were so funny and it would be really fun to get everyone back together. I don't know like what would happen. It would be fun for us. I don't know if it'd be fun for the audience.
Well, for now at least, we do have all those episodes to go back and rewatch. So
yeah,
thank you so much to all of you. It is such a treat to see all of you once again reunited. Zoe, Hannah, Lamore, and Liz, Jake, Max, so great. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And please stay tuned for our next session right here at the Variety TV Fest.